Okay, we're going to continue with the wind project here, specifically dealing with the wind data. So I'll start a new sheet here, okay? Then I'm going to get my text file wind data that you can find online, okay? Which I will select all of it, okay? I will copy it, then I will come over here and I will paste it into thing. Okay, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and delete where I got the data from right there. Okay, I'm going to then format the width just to get it nice and neat like that. Okay, and now let's go ahead and go through with what we need to talk about. So we've got our checklist here. Okay, we're going to kind of deal with these guys in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is convert those units because it's given in miles per hour. I want to convert it to meters per second. So I'll come here, type in convert, select my value. And again, this is going to go from miles per hour to meters per second, like this. Okay, so get that conversion like that. Okay, and we'll just call this wind, and we will switch it to meters per second, give it a title like that. Okay, so get that switched. The other thing I need to do is kind of mess around with my date and time here. Okay, so the first thing I need to recognize here is how the dates work, which is basically the first four digits are the year, second two digits are the month, and the last two digits are the day. So what I do here is I'm going to insert a couple of columns, okay? Have one column that I call month and one column I call day, okay? And I'm going to use a function for this. We'll start with today, and I'm going to do a function called write, R-I-G-H-T, which basically you take the text that I have here, and then you basically tell how many of the digits you want to collect. So I want to take the right two digits. So I hit 2, right? So I'm taking the right digits of the text, the last two. So when I do that, you see I have 0, 1, okay? And then if you see as I scroll down, right? So, there's a 30, there's a 31, there's a 1, right? So that's the last two digits to get that. Now, with regards to the month, those are the middle numbers. So I'm going to use a function called mid. Same idea here. Take that string and then it says, okay, where do you want to start and how many characters do you want? And I want to start on the 5th character, right? The first 4 are the year. So I want to start on that 5th one and I want to take 2 characters. Okay, and this will represent my month, like so. And I can autofill that down, and then you see as I scroll down, maybe, let me just grab and pull it down a little bit. You can see, okay, so here we are in May 23rd, so we get 5/23. Okay, so there you go. Now, want to do the same thing with the time, and we're going to deal with that a little bit later, but let's go ahead and do the same idea here, okay, where I'm going to split this into hour and minute, okay, and the way I have this, you see, are the last two digits are minutes, okay. I wonder, yeah, I think we'll be okay, okay. So we'll start with the minute, okay. Again, we're going to use the write command, okay. We're going to use this number right here, okay, and we're going to grab the last two digits of it, okay. So it's basically separating that out, okay. So basically, I'm grabbing the last two digits of this. Let me kind of clean this up a little bit. So I got my minutes all figured out. Now, for the hour, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to subtract the time from the minute, right? And when you do that, you basically get the hour, okay? And again, this is 24-hour time, okay? However, it's the hour in hundreds. So rather than just leaving it like that, what I'll do here is I'm going to take this value and I'm going to divide it by 100. Now you might be thinking to yourself, why didn't he just do the left command? Well, you see here when it's midnight 12:54 a.m., I need it to be 0. There are those, if I grab the first 2 digits, it's going to grab 54, which is not the hour. The hour is actually 0. So I can't really grab that. I can only grab the last 2 and then subtract things off. Okay. And you'll see when I subtract them off, then I'm left with hundreds. So I'll divide by 100 to get the hour. And you can see now if I scroll down, right, you've got, 23:54. That's 11:54 p.m., right? And then it switches to 12:54 a.m., goes back to 0. Okay, so I'm basically breaking those apart to make it more manageable. And we'll talk about that later on when we start actually calculating the power of the windmills. Okay. So at this point, I've basically taken my data and my time data and made it into more usable functions for me. Okay, so I've got all of this wind speed. Let's look at what we need to do now with some of this wind speed. Okay, so it says here, create a pivot table to find mean, median, not median, mean, min, max, stuff like this for both days and um, months. Okay, now this is actually really easy because if I wanted to find the average for each day, I would have to do 365 highlights. Okay, instead, I can create this pivot table. Okay, it'll auto select the range and I get like this, right? Where I can just throw the month in like so and then do the wind speeds. And I want the wind speeds in meters per second. Now I don't want them in rows, I actually want them in values, and I don't want to count them. I actually, for example, I want the average, okay? Now, you'll see a few things wrong here, okay? You see I've got this value going on here, okay? I don't know what that value means. So let's go figure out why that value is there. So I'll go back to my other sheet here, okay? And the easiest way to do that is by doing a filter and kind of seeing what's going on with my wind speed. And you see as I scroll down, okay, I have this value right here. And you're wondering, well, why is that value there? Well, let's go see what's going on. Okay, so I go to value and it filters those out and I say, oh, look what's here. I've got these M's. Okay, and what's happening here is maintenance is being performed on the device. Okay, now you might say to yourself, okay, well, what do I do? Should I just make them 0? Well, that's not the best thing to do. Okay, because the wind isn't necessarily 0 here. The wind might be something else. So the best thing to do is just delete this data because it's unusable data for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically highlight all of these, and then I am going to select the delete button. Okay, okay, and it'll delete those rows that have the maintenance in them. Okay, now I will restore them all, kind of clear that filter, and it'll bring everything back. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can go ahead and try the pivot table again. So again, I'm going to go insert pivot table. Okay, and again, I'm going to do the month, and then I'm going to do the wind speed in, and I don't want count. Of course, I want average. Okay, still with the values. Interesting. Let's go back and see what's going on now. Oops. Okay, so if I click here, okay, we'll try this again. Okay, so I am going to insert a pivot table. Okay, I'm going to select the month, and then I'm going to put the wind speed under values, and I'm going to switch those to average. Okay, now I'm not sure what happened before. Okay, once we got those maintenance cleared, this is what should have happened, and now you see it's happening. Okay, what I did was I went and I deleted the old pivot table. I'm not sure if it was where it was grabbing the data from. Anyway, there you have it. Now, it wanted min, max, standard deviation, okay? But I can go ahead and rather than do sum, again, I could do the minimum wind speed each month, right? and then I'll just do maximum. I'll let you do standard deviation on your own, right? But you can see kind of the min and the max for each month, and you can kind of roll that out. Now, I also wanted the daily, and I can go ahead and do the days, okay, and add those in as a separate row. So then you can say, for example, on March 15th, I can see that the average wind speed was 1.96, the min was 0, and the max was 4.47, okay, meters per second, okay? So you can have all of these monthly and daily averages shown in here. Now, on your own, you will also want to go ahead and create a graph of these monthly averages. I'll let you do that on your own. It's pretty simple once you have this pivot table set up. Okay, so that is my pivot table. Maybe I give myself, rename this pivot, right? Rename this one. We'll call this the wind. Okay, and now the other thing I want to do is I want to create a histogram of these wind speeds. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to start down here and I'm going to highlight the whole thing, which, well, let's just see what happens if I just click the whole column like that. Okay, and what I want to do is here I want to create a histogram. Okay, which is right here. But what I want to do is I want to set up the bins, okay? Because there is this thing called a cut-in speed, okay? And you see with these values, they cut in at 3, okay? Anything below 3 doesn't really matter, okay? So what I want to do is I want to create a bin below that cut-in speed, okay? And then you can see peaks out on this one about 12, peaks out on this one about 12, peaks out on this one at about 15. So what I'll do is I'll put a bin because 3 is important. 2, nothing cuts in before 2. So I'll go from 2 to 15 with my bins. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'm going to right click on this and not select data. That's not what I meant to do. Uh-oh, where did my... Well, I'm just going to reinsert it since I lost it here. And let's... here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and insert this again, okay? And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move this chart into its own sheet here, okay? And we'll call this one histogram. That way I won't lose it moving forward, okay? So I've got this. Now again, I want to go in here and not select data. I want to format data series, okay? And again, I want to... There we go. I want to go with my horizontal axis and I want to set up my bins. And I want my bin width of 1, okay? And I want an underflow bin. Remember, anything below 2, I want in my underflow bin, okay? So anything less than 2 is going to go there, okay? And then anything, what did I say, greater than 15, okay, and maybe that's not even all that important. It looks like, yeah, maybe 10 was the one. That's where it kind of drops off. Um, you know, I don't have very many occurrences above 10, so I go ahead and hit 10 like this. But now I've got a nice histogram. You can put in your own chart title and make sure you do everything. But you can see this whole 3,000 hours essentially, okay, the windmill will not be going, right? So that's an important kind of ideal there. Okay, most of what we've got is in, you know, when it's even spinning at all, almost everything is below 5 meters per second. So we don't have a huge amount of wind here in central Wisconsin. So this might not be the best sort of setup, but that's how we go ahead and create that histogram. And again, you'll want to go through, make your plot look nice. I'll let you do that on your own at this point. Okay, but that's the histogram that you'll set up. So at this point, we've converted the units, we created the pivot table. You need to create this graph. I didn't do that. We've gone ahead and set up your histogram. So I'm going to stop here. Part 3 will really be diving into those power power curves and creating some um, uh, doing some calculations to figure out if we can actually support this um, idea here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop part 2, and we'll talk more later.